It's all right now. You're here. The night is quiet, and nothing is asking anything of you in this moment. You don't have to hurry. You don't have to hold yourself together. Just let yourself arrive. The way someone might slip quietly into a room where the lamps are low and a soft space is waiting. I'm glad you came, not for any grand purpose, but simply because it's gentle to share a little stillness at the end of a long day. Most of us move through life so quickly that we forget how it feels to pause, even for a breath or two, even for a few soft heartbeats. Maybe as you settle in, you notice the weight in your jaw loosening, the tiny muscles there unclenching on their own. Your shoulders may begin to fall, a little at first, then a bit more, like fabric sliding down a hook. Your hands can rest now, open or closed, however they naturally land. Your eyes may grow heavy, lids drifting like curtains at dusk. The body remembering what it means to be cared for. Let your breath smooth itself out, without trying to shape it. The way a stream finds its own quiet path. Today might have asked a lot from you. Work that stretched you, family moments that needed patience, money on your mind, responsibilities that stacked one after another. A mind that kept turning even when you wished it would stop. You don't need to fix any of that tonight. Just set it down at the door, like a pair of worn shoes you'll deal with in the morning. Imagine closing a soft wooden door behind you. Nothing slams. It just clicks, gentle and final for the day. Or picture a jar that's been shaken, dust swirling everywhere. Place it on a table. Let the dust settle on its own. No forcing. No effort. Only gravity doing what it naturally does. Some of you came carrying questions about the future, unsure where the next step will land. Some of you arrived with a quiet ache in the heart that you haven't spoken aloud in a long time. Someone here may be holding a decision that feels just a little too heavy to lift tonight. And I've heard this question many evenings. Is it okay to rest even when everything isn't solved? Yes, it is. In this space, you don't have to pretend to be stronger than you feel. You don't have to push away your tiredness. The night knows how to hold all of it. There's a gentle truth that drifts through moments like this. Everything changes. Everything softens. Everything finds its time. You don't have to cling to anything right now. Let the room cradle you. Let the quiet be the blanket that the day couldn't give. If subscribing helps you return here when nights feel heavy, you're welcome too. And if you feel like leaving a comment, just a simple one, if this helped. Or two, if it didn't, that's more than enough. Now, let's walk softly into the first story. Waiting just beyond the edge of this breath. Story 01, Kisagotami and the Mustard Seed. The Buddha was walking near the village when a young mother, Kisagotami, approached him, her face pale, her arms trembling. She carried her little child, who had died earlier that day, and she begged for help, her voice breaking. The air around them was still, the way it gets before sunset, when shadows begin to lengthen across the ground. She told the Buddha she could not accept what had happened. Her mind raced, like someone replaying the same thought again and again. Work, family, the endless tasks of daily life, none of it made sense to her anymore. The Buddha listened quietly, letting her speak until her breath softened. He told her to bring him a mustard seed from a household that had never known death. He didn't promise a miracle. He simply offered a path she could walk. She went from door to door, meeting families who had lost parents, partners, children, friends. As she listened to their stories, something in her began to settle, like dust falling slowly to the bottom of a jar. By nightfall, she returned with empty hands, her shoulders softer, her steps slower. She finally laid her child down, tears falling freely, but with a quieter heart. You might know this feeling, the moment when life becomes too heavy to carry the way you used to. Maybe you've walked around with something no one else could fix, hoping for answers that never came. What she discovered was simple: we're never alone in our pain. Everyone we meet carries something. Take a moment now to notice one place in your body where tension gathers. Let it loosen, even a little, the way her grip slowly loosened that night. Story 02, Angulimala meets the Buddha. The road outside Savatthi was harsh and dusty, and people walked it with fear. A bandit named Angulimala lived there, fierce and lost, chasing a violent mission he believed he had to complete. Travelers whispered his name the way people whisper about impossible deadlines or overwhelming pressure quietly. Hoping to avoid trouble, the Buddha walked that same road calmly, step by step, completely unhurried. Angulimala saw him and charged forward, expecting fear, expecting the usual panic. But the Buddha kept walking, steady as a slow breath. When Angulimala reached him, something unexpected happened. He felt himself stop, not because of force, but because the Buddha's stillness created a pause inside him. It was like walking into a quiet room after hours of noise. The Buddha spoke simply, gently, reminding him that hurting others would never ease the turmoil he carried. He didn't shame him. He didn't lecture. He saw a man who had forgotten how to rest. For the first time in years, Angulimala felt his chest open. He put down the life he'd been clutching. Like dropping a heavy bag he didn't realize he'd been dragging. Maybe you've had moments where anger pulled you faster than you meant to go. Maybe work pressure or old wounds made your heart jump ahead of your better self. His shift teaches something soft. A single calm presence can change the direction of a storm. You can be that presence for yourself, even for one breath. Rest your hand on your chest now. Feel the warmth there, and let one small knot inside you loosen. Story 03, The Poisoned Arrow. One afternoon, a man came to the Buddha frustrated, restless, overwhelmed by questions he couldn't answer. He wanted explanations for everything: how the world began, what happens after death, why life felt so uncertain. His mind buzzed like someone stuck late at work, reopening the same email again and again. The Buddha listened, patient, grounded. He told the man about a soldier shot with a poisoned arrow. The soldier refuses treatment until he knows who shot it, what caste the shooter was, what kind of bow was used. By the time those answers arrive, the Buddha said, the man would already be gone. He wasn't dismissing curiosity, he was pointing toward what truly helps. The listener paused, breath settling, realizing how tightly he'd been gripping his questions. Maybe you've been caught the same way, replaying regrets, worrying about futures that haven't come. Life can feel like a crowded inbox, so much to solve, so little space. This story whispers something gentle: start with what heals, not what confuses. Small steps matter more than perfect explanations. Put one hand on your belly now, feel its rise and fall, and let one worry rest outside the room for tonight. Story 04, The Quarreling Monks of Kosambi. In Kosambi, two groups of monks had fallen into argument over a minor rule. Days passed, voices sharpened, and frustration thickened like humidity before a storm. The lay people watching grew disheartened, unsure what to believe. The Buddha traveled there quietly, arriving in the early morning when birds were just starting to call. He sat among them without accusation, the way a wise elder sits near children who've lost their way. He told them that quarreling was like stirring a muddy pond. The more they churned it, the less anyone could see. No anger, no blame, just a reminder that peace can't grow in soil constantly turned over by irritation. Some monks felt their shoulders drop. Some stepped away to breathe. Some realized how small the original issue had been. If you've ever argued at home after a long day, or snapped at someone because the week was too heavy, you know this feeling well. Most conflicts aren't about the surface issue, they're about tired hearts. The lesson is quiet pause before the water gets too muddy. Clarity returns when you stop stirring. Close your eyes a moment. Notice any tightness in your face, and soften it as if smoothing the surface of a pond. Story 05, the fire sermon moment. On a quiet hillside, the Buddha spoke to a group of monks who felt overwhelmed by the pull of daily desires and fears. They said their minds were tired, too many wants, too many frustrations. Their days felt like trying to meet endless deadlines. Nothing ever done. The Buddha pointed to the flickering lights of small village fires below. He said the mind burns in a similar way when clinging grows strong, burning with wanting. Avoiding, resisting, not a warning, but a simple observation. The monks listened as evening softened around them. Some felt their breath deepen, as if noticing heat they'd been carrying for years. Maybe you felt that firework pressure, family tension, regret that bites when you're alone. We all carry sparks like that. What they learned was gentle when you notice the flame. You don't have to feed it. You can let it cool on its own. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly, and imagine any inner heat slowly dimming like a candle at bedtime. Story 06, Prince Nanda's restless mind. Prince Nanda left home reluctantly, pulled between spiritual life and longing for comfort, beauty, and ease. His heart was torn the way someone might feel, caught between work responsibilities and dreams they haven't pursued. He couldn't focus, couldn't settle. The Buddha didn't scold him. Instead, he guided him with patience, letting Nanda see how chasing desire brought exhaustion, not satisfaction, no force, just gentle clarity. Over time, Nanda noticed the restlessness calming, like a wild horse beginning to trust a steady hand. His steps grew firmer, his breath deeper. Maybe you know this feeling, being pulled in two directions, wanting everything at once. It's tiring to live that way. The lesson is soft clarity grows when you stop running after every wish. A steady heart sees more clearly than a busy one. Sit back for a moment and let one small desire, just one, fall away for tonight. Story 07, the Buddha and the Angry Brahmin. An angry Brahmin once approached the Buddha, furious, shouting, his face sharp with resentment. He blamed the Buddha for beliefs he didn't understand, reacting the way someone might lash out at a coworker or partner after a long, difficult day. The Buddha stood quietly, his calm like cool air after heat. He told the Brahmin that anger offered only more anger, like handing a burning coal from palm to palm. If one person didn't pick it up, the flame went out. The Brahmin's breath slowed. His eyes softened. He realized he had been carrying heat that hurt him more than anyone else. Maybe you've felt that kind of anger, quick, hot, fueled by exhaustion or fear. Most of us have. The insight is simple. You don't have to hold every flame given to you. You can let it drop. Roll your shoulders back once, gently, and imagine one small ember of irritation falling away. Story 08. The Buddha comforts a sick monk. One afternoon, the Buddha visited a monk who was terribly ill, isolated, and ashamed of needing help. The room was dim, the air warm, and the monk's breathing unsteady. He felt like a burden, the way people often do when life slows them down. The Buddha knelt beside him, cleaned him, tended to him with quiet hands. He reminded the community that caring for one another was the same as caring for the Buddha himself. No grand speech, just presence. The sick monk felt tears rise, but softer ones, almost grateful. Someone saw him, not as a burden, but as a human being. Maybe you felt alone in your struggles, unsure who would help if you faltered, or maybe you've pushed yourself too hard to appear strong. This story whispers, you deserve care. Even when you're not at your best, let kindness reach you. Place a hand on your chest, feel your own warmth, and let yourself receive it fully. Story 09. The Farmer and His Complaints. A farmer approached the Buddha full of irritation, crops failing, family arguments, money stress, endless chores. He thought if he could fix all his problems, life would finally feel peaceful. But every solution led to another worry. The Buddha listened without rushing. He told the farmer that everyone has 30 problems, and even when one fades, another rises. What matters isn't removing all problems, but loosening how tightly we hold them. The farmer sighed, a long breath he'd been holding for years. Something in him relaxed. Maybe you've felt this too, thinking peace will come only when everything is solved. But life keeps moving, shifting, replacing one challenge with another. The lesson is kind peace grows from acceptance, not perfect control. You can soften even when life stays imperfect. Let your hands rest loosely now, palms unclenched, your grip on the day easing. Story 10. The Buddha and the Grieving Woman with the Swept House. A grieving woman came to the Buddha after losing someone dear to her. Her home felt empty, like a room after a long storm. Everything unsettled. She wanted to understand why loss hits so deeply, why the heart doesn't break evenly. The Buddha brought her to a house where the floors had just been swept. He said everything in life gathers and disperses the way dust does, coming together, drifting apart. Not harsh, not cold, just the way the seasons change. She knelt there quietly, noticing the simple truth in the clean floor. Her grief didn't disappear, but it softened into something she could breathe through. Maybe you've carried a loss while still trying to work, parent, manage bills, show up every day. The world asks so much, even when the heart is heavy. The lesson is gentle. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means allowing what's real to be real. Grief moves when we stop resisting it. Lay your head back, let your jaw loosen, and allow whatever you feel to pass through you like air in an open room. Story 11. The Buddha and the Worried Householder. A householder once came to the Buddha early in the morning. His face tired, his mind cluttered. He said his work felt endless. His family needed him constantly, and he never knew how to rest. Even when he tried to sleep, thoughts rushed in like wind, rattling loose shutters. The Buddha welcomed him to sit beneath a quiet tree. He spoke about how worry multiplies when we hold everything at once. Like carrying water in cupped hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more spills away. The man listened, breath slowing, realizing how often he lived in tomorrow instead of today. He felt a small space open inside him, the way light enters a room when a curtain shifts. Maybe you know that feeling, trying to juggle work, bills, expectations, and your own tired heart. It wears down even the strongest person. The lesson is soft peace grows when you focus on just one thing. Not all things. A single steady step is enough. Rest your palms on your lap. Let your shoulders fall, and choose one worry to set beside you for now. Story 12. The Buddha and the Monk, Afraid of Solitude. A monk once confessed to the Buddha that he feared staying alone in the forest. The nighttime sounds, the darkness, the silence, they stirred old memories and buried fears. He felt like someone lying awake in bed, hearing every creak in the house. The Buddha didn't dismiss him. He walked with him into the forest, showing how the trees swayed gently, how the night had its own rhythm. He said fear weakens when you meet it calmly. As though greeting an old acquaintance, the monk felt his heartbeat steady as they stood beneath the moon. He realized the forest wasn't against him. It simply reflected his own mind. Maybe you've avoided something because it felt too big, an unresolved conversation, a financial worry, a quiet evening with your own thoughts. Fear often grows in the spaces we refuse to look at. The lesson is gentle when you face what scares you softly. It shrinks. You become larger than the fear. Place one hand on your belly. Feel its slow movement, and let the night inside you settle just a little. Story 13. The Buddha and the Jealous Monk. One afternoon, a monk approached the Buddha with jealousy burning in his chest. Another monk received praise, and he felt overlooked, unwanted, unseen. His mind compared constantly, the way people compare jobs, incomes, or relationships. The Buddha invited him to sit by a lotus pond. He pointed out that no two lotus flowers open on the same day, even under the same sun. Each unfolds in its own time. The monk watched the water shimmer and felt something soften within him. The claw of comparison loosened. You may know this feeling, seeing someone else succeed and feeling your own efforts shrink. Adults carry quiet jealousy more often than they admit. The teaching is simple. Your path isn't late. It's different. Bloom in your own season. Let your breath move freely, and let one comparison slip away like a petal drifting across water. Story 14. The Buddha and the Man Who Felt Invisible. A man once told the Buddha he felt unseen in his household. His family depended on him, but no one seemed to notice his exhaustion. He felt like a lamp lighting everyone else's night. While he sat in the dark, the Buddha listened with warm, steady attention. He reminded the man that kindness given to others must also be given to oneself. A lamp stays bright only when its oil is replenished. The man felt tears rise, not from sadness, but from finally being understood. His breath softened, his shoulders lowered. Maybe you've been the dependable one at work or home, carrying more than you admit. Feeling invisible is its own kind of burden. The lesson is soft care for yourself, the way you care for others. You deserve the same gentleness. Place your hand over your heart. Feel its weight and warmth, and allow yourself a moment of inward kindness. Story 15. The Buddha and the Monk Attached to His Bowl. A monk grew unusually attached to a fine alms bowl he had received. He polished it daily, guarded it closely, and worried constantly someone might scratch it. His mind swirled with the same protective tension people feel about possessions, savings, or fragile plans. The Buddha noticed his agitation. He reminded him, with calm clarity, that the bowl was meant to serve him, not the other way around. When an object takes the lead, worry follows. The monk felt embarrassed at first, then relieved. He realized how much mental space he had given a simple bowl. Maybe you've done this too, cling tightly to something you fear losing. It could be money, status, or even an idea of how life should be. The lesson is gentle possessions are useful, but not worth your peace. Let them rest lightly in your hands. Relax your grip on your fingers. Let them uncurl slowly. And imagine one unnecessary tension slipping away. Story 16. The Buddha and the Monk Who Spoke Harshly. A monk approached the Buddha after realizing he'd spoken sharply to another brother. His guilt weighed heavily, and he couldn't focus on anything else. His mind replayed the moment over and over, like a looping message you can't delete. The Buddha welcomed him with steady kindness. He said, harsh words are like arrows, they leave the mind long before they strike the listener. Repair begins with honesty and gentle effort. The monk breathed easier hearing this. He apologized sincerely, and the tension between them dissolved. Maybe you've said something in frustration and regretted it later. Most people have. The lesson is soft mistakes happen. Repairing them is the real strength. A humble heart heals faster than a proud one. Let your shoulders fall back. Let your jaw relax. And imagine one apology you could offer to yourself or someone else. Story 17. The Buddha and the Anxious Young Monk. A young monk confessed to the Buddha that his thoughts ran endlessly. He worried about the future, about failing, about disappointing others. He said his mind felt like a spinning wheel that never slowed down. The Buddha guided him to watch the simple rise and fall of a leaf in the breeze. He told him attention becomes steadier when anchored to something gentle and present. No command, no pressure, just an invitation. The monk watched the leaf sway, his breath falling into a natural rhythm. The wheel inside him slowed. Maybe you've had days when overthinking wears you down, especially late at night. The mind wants certainty, even when none exists. The lesson is kind. Come back to one simple thing and let it hold you for a moment. Even small steadiness helps. Look at one object in your room. Breathe softly and let your thoughts settle around it like leaves on quiet ground. Story 18. The Buddha and the Monk Haunted by Regret. A monk once told the Buddha he was overwhelmed by past mistakes. Even though years had passed, the memories clung tightly, stealing his sleep. He felt like someone carrying an old debt that keeps growing. The Buddha explained that regret is like dragging a log through the forest. When you stop pulling, it stops moving. Forgiveness begins when you stop feeding the memory with self-blame. The monk sat in silence, feeling the weight shift within him. For the first time in a long while, he felt a tiny bit lighter. Maybe you've held on to something long after the moment was gone. A bad decision, a lost opportunity, a hurt you caused. Regret can shadow even good days. The lesson is gentle. Put down what you can't change. Carry only what helps you grow. Your past doesn't need to walk beside you every night. Exhale slowly and imagine placing one old regret on the ground behind you. Story 19. The Buddha and the Monk Frustrated with His Progress. A monk once told the Buddha he felt stuck. He meditated daily, practiced steadily, yet felt no improvement. It frustrated him the way people feel frustrated with slow careers, slow healing, slow change. The Buddha asked him to notice how water wears down a rock grain by grain, day by day. Progress often hides inside repetition. The monk breathed out, realizing he'd been judging himself too harshly. He returned to practice with a softer heart. Maybe you've been hard on yourself too, expecting more than you can give. Most adults push themselves without noticing the toll. The lesson is kind, steady effort reshapes your life quietly. Trust the small steps. Press your feet gently into the ground. Feel the support beneath you. And let slow progress be enough for tonight. Story 20. The Buddha and the Monk with an Unkind Neighbor. A monk told the Buddha that a neighbor constantly insulted him. Every day brought new complaints. Sharp words. Cold stares. The monk felt worn, like someone dealing with a difficult co-worker or family member. The Buddha listened and then said that encountering unkindness is like meeting wind. You can't control its direction, but you can choose how tightly you brace yourself. Softness can protect as well as strength. The monk felt something loosen in his chest. He didn't need to fight every gust. Maybe you've had someone in your life who drains your energy, tests your patience, or wounds your pride. It's exhausting to hold that tension every day. The lesson is gentle. Let their wind pass through you, not into you. Your peace is still yours. Let your shoulders drop slightly. Breathe low in your belly and release one person's harshness from your grip. Story 21. Kisar Gotami and the Mustard Seed. In the cool shade outside the monastery, the Buddha sat quietly, listening to the wind passing through the trees. A young woman named Kisar Gotami approached, her steps unsteady, her eyes swollen from days of tears. She carried the deep ache of losing her child, a pain that made every breath feel sharp. In her grief, she felt alone, as if the whole world moved on while she stayed frozen in sorrow. The Buddha listened with calm attention. He gently asked her to bring him a mustard seed from a home untouched by death. She went from door to door, hopeful at first, then slowly realizing that every family had its own story of loss. As she walked, her tight grief loosened just a little. By the time she returned, there was a softer acceptance in her voice. She saw that her pain, though heavy, wasn't hers alone in this world. You might know a feeling like that, carrying something so private it seems no one else could understand. But often, when we look closer, we find others walking with similar invisible weights. Sometimes the heart settles when it sees it's not failing, it's simply human. If you want, rest one hand over your chest. Let it rise and fall. Let the tenderness stay with you for a moment. Story 22. The Angry Monk and the Buddha. One quiet morning, a monk sat alone, clenching his jaw as he replayed an argument in his mind. He felt wronged, overlooked, and unappreciated. His frustration grew like heat behind his ribs. Finally, he went to the Buddha, hoping for a solution that would fix the other person, not himself. The Buddha listened with steady eyes. He reminded the monk that anger is like picking up a burning stick. You intend to throw it at someone else, but your own hand burns first. The monk felt his shoulders loosen, as if a knot finally found room to breathe. A small exhale slipped out without him meaning to. Maybe you've had days like that when irritation follows you around like a shadow. Not because you want it, but because life piles up faster than you can catch your breath. It's okay to feel heat inside. What matters is noticing it before it scorches everything around you. If you wish, place one palm on your belly. Feel the quiet rise. Feel the slow fall. Story 23. The Buddha and the Quarrelsome Brothers. In a dusty village, two brothers came to the Buddha, each insisting the other had cheated him in dividing their inheritance. Voices sharp, faces tight. The Buddha didn't take sides. He simply poured water into a bowl and asked them to watch until the cloudiness settled. At first, they fidgeted, impatient. Then, slowly, the swirling dust in the water drifted down, leaving the top clear again. This is the mind when anger is left to rest, he said, not as a lecture, but almost like a gentle observation of nature. The brothers felt something soften inside, their breaths smoothed out, and their shoulders lowered as the tension eased. You might know that feeling when conflict grips you so tightly, you forget the simple relief of letting things settle. There is clarity in stillness, even if it comes slowly. If you want, sit a little deeper into the surface beneath you. Notice the way the body naturally settles. Let your thoughts drift down like dust in water. Story 24. The farmer who lost his ox. A frantic farmer rushed to the Buddha, worried his missing ox would ruin him. His voice trembled with fear about money, work, and the future. The Buddha met his panic with quiet steadiness. He said the ox might still be found, but even if not, a mind twisted with worry could not see clearly enough to act wisely. The farmer took a long, shaky breath. He realized how tightly he'd been gripping the idea of control. Later that day, villagers found the ox wandering near a stream. The farmer returned, relieved yet humbled by how quickly fear had overwhelmed him. Maybe you've had days like that. One thing goes wrong, and suddenly your whole world feels fragile. It's natural, but it's easier to think, choose, and breathe when the heart isn't clenched. If you want, unclench your hands now. Just a little. Let the fingers rest. Story 25. The Buddha and the grieving father. A father came to the Buddha, torn apart by the loss of his daughter. He tried to stay strong, but his voice cracked under the weight of what he felt. The Buddha didn't rush him. He simply stayed with him, steady and patient, like a lamp in a dark room. He reminded the father that love makes loss feel sharp. Yet love is also what helps the heart mend, not by forgetting, but by softening around the memory. The father wept until the tears grew quiet. His breath deepened, and something inside him loosened. You might know a moment like that when grief seems too big to hold alone. Sometimes all we need is a little stillness, a little company, and time. If you want, let your breath fall into a slower rhythm. Nothing forced, just a gentle settling. Story 26. The Buddha and the restless monk. A monk confessed that his mind bounced from thought to thought, never settling. He felt ashamed, as if he lacked discipline. The Buddha smiled warmly, reminding him that the mind can behave like a wild animal at first, full of energy, not disobedience. The monk felt his shame lighten. He realized he didn't have to fight every thought. You might know that restless feeling, too many tabs open in your mind, too many worries running at once. It's okay. Restlessness is simply movement, not failure. If you want, notice one thing around you, maybe the faint hum in the room, or the softness of your pillow. Let attention rest there for a moment. Story 27. Queen Malika's morning. Queen Malika once visited the Buddha early in the morning, carrying the quiet strain of palace responsibilities. She felt pressure from every direction: family, politics, expectations. The Buddha spoke gently, reminding her that a wise life isn't built by controlling everything, but by steadying the mind that meets everything. She exhaled with relief, almost surprised by how much she'd been holding. Her steps as she left were slower, softer, Maybe you've had days like hers, responsibilities stacked so high you forget you're human. It's all right to pause, to breathe, to return to yourself, if you want. Relax your shoulders down and away from your ears. Feel the difference one small shift can make. Story 28. The soldier who feared his past. A soldier approached the Buddha, weighed down by memories he wished he could erase. He feared his past defined him forever. The Buddha listened without judgment. He simply reminded the man that a person is shaped by the choices they make now, not only the ones behind them. The soldier felt a heaviness lift, like a cloak slipping from his shoulders. His breath steadied as hope returned. Maybe you've felt haunted by old mistakes, wondering if they still cling to you. But you're not frozen in time. You're always becoming, if you want. Whisper inwardly, I'm here now. Let that be enough for this moment. Story 29. The Buddha and the Worried Merchant. A merchant came to the Buddha anxious about losing a shipment at sea. He feared financial ruin, and sleepless nights had made him jumpy and exhausted. The Buddha spoke of how worry drains strength, while calm helps clarify action. Not forcing calm, just letting the mind rest long enough to see clearly. The merchant felt his breath deepen. He realized he could face challenges better without tightening around them. Maybe you've been there, money concerns keeping you awake, looping through your thoughts. It's human, but the mind finds steadiness when you allow even a moment of ease. If you wish, take one slow inhale, then let it fall away on its own. No need to control anything. Story 30. The Buddha and the Jealous Monk. A monk struggled with jealousy toward another monk who seemed more respected. He felt small, embarrassed by his own emotions. The Buddha gently reminded him that comparison is like chasing a shadow. No matter how fast you run, it always slips away. The monk's face softened. He felt free from the tight knot in his chest. Maybe you've compared yourself to someone else at work, at home, online, feeling that sting of not enoughness. It's a common ache, and it loosens when you come back to your own quiet path. If you want, place a hand on your heart. Let it rise. Let it rest. Story 31. The Buddha and the Sick Monk. A monk lay in his small room, coughing weakly, feeling ashamed that illness had slowed him. He worried he was failing the community, failing himself, failing the practice. The Buddha came quietly, sat nearby, and offered presence rather than words. He reminded the monk that all bodies grow tired and that care is a part of the path, not a distraction. The monk's shoulders loosened, and a small sense of relief arrived with his breath. Even weakness can be a teacher, if met gently. Maybe you've pushed yourself through long hours, expecting your body and mind to never tire. Illness and fatigue are reminders, not punishments. The lesson is soft care for yourself as you would for another. Self-kindness allows resilience to grow. Place a hand over your chest, feel its warmth, and let one small tension dissolve. Story 32. The Buddha and the Angry Layman. A man stormed through the village, frustrated by taxes, business troubles, and family disputes. His anger was raw, like a storm knocking against the windows. The Buddha walked beside him without reacting to the harsh words. He explained that anger acts like fire, consuming the holder first, before affecting others. The man stopped. Noticing the tightness in his chest, he exhaled, surprised by the relief of simply being seen without judgment. Maybe you felt anger grow inside you, uncontrollable at first, unhelpful at last. Recognizing it is the first step toward letting it soften. The lesson is gentle. Notice the flame before it burns you or others. Awareness brings choice. Rest your hands in your lap and let one sharp thought melt into the background. Story 33. The Buddha and the Man Who Could Not Forgive. A man approached the Buddha, holding a grudge for years against a former friend. He felt heavy, trapped in resentment, like carrying a backpack full of stones. The Buddha listened patiently. He told the man that holding on to anger only prolongs suffering. He suggested imagining placing the burden down. Even for a moment, the man did so and felt a curious lightness, a breath of freedom he hadn't known in years. Maybe you've held a grudge or replayed an old argument in your mind. It weighs down days and nights quietly. The lesson is simple. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means reclaiming your peace. Forgiveness is for yourself first. Place a hand over your heart and feel one weight release slowly. Story 34. The Buddha and the Monk Who Feared Death. A monk sat in the forest, trembling at thoughts of impermanence. The future felt uncertain, and the thought of leaving life unprepared shook him. The Buddha came and gently reminded him that change is constant, like the flow of a river. Fear arises when we resist what naturally comes. The monk's breath softened. He felt a small acceptance, like letting water flow over one's hands instead of trying to hold it. Maybe you feared endings of work, relationships, or your own plans. Fear often grows in resistance. The lesson is tender. Notice the natural flow and move gently with it. Acceptance brings ease. Rest your hands on your knees. Feel your feet on the floor and imagine soft water passing. Story 35. The Buddha and the Overworked Merchant. A merchant visited the Buddha, shoulders tight, mind spinning from endless trade. He worried about shipments, debts, and the future of his family. The Buddha advised him to notice what he could influence and let the rest rest. Trying to control everything only created more tension. The merchant's chest lightened. His gaze softened. He realized that calm focus helped more than frantic control. Maybe you felt pulled in every direction: emails, calls, responsibilities. The pressure can feel unstoppable. The lesson is gentle. Attend to what you can and release what you cannot. Peace grows in that space. Take a slow, soft inhale. Exhale naturally and let one concern settle. Story 36. The Buddha and the Anxious Father. A father came, worried about his children, their health, their choices, their safety. He paced and wrung his hands as he recounted every possible problem. The Buddha sat quietly and reminded him that worry does not guide the future. It clouds attention and the love already present. The father paused, feeling warmth enter the chest he hadn't noticed in days. He realized that caring is not the same as constant panic. Maybe you felt that tension, the urge to control outcomes for those you love. It is exhausting. The lesson is soft presence matters more than worry. Love fully. Rest fully. Place one hand on your heart and breathe as if you are sending calm to yourself and others. Story 37. The Buddha and the Monk, obsessed with perfection. A monk, obsessed over doing everything correctly, every chant, every service, every meal. Mistakes haunted him like shadows at dusk. The Buddha gently reminded him that learning and growth are found in effort, not perfection. Mistakes are guides, not punishments. The monk's body relaxed. He felt his tight chest loosen and his jaw unclench. Maybe you've chased perfection, afraid of failing. exhausted by constant standards. It leaves little room to simply breathe. The lesson is simple: practice is enough. Even when imperfect, gentle effort sustains more than rigid control. Rest your shoulders down, close your eyes lightly, and imagine one small error dissolving harmlessly. Story 38. The Buddha and the Impatient Monk. A monk struggled with impatience, wanting immediate results in meditation and insight. He felt discouraged and restless, like waiting for a train that never arrives. The Buddha spoke softly, comparing growth to a tree steady, unseen at first, then blossoming over time. The monk inhaled slowly, his tension loosening like soil softening in rain. He realized impatience did not move him forward, it only clouded perception. Maybe you've wanted results too quickly in work, in life, in relationships. Rushing rarely brings clarity. The lesson is, kind patience allows progress to unfold naturally. Trust small steps. Place one hand on your lap. Feel a slow heartbeat, and let a single breath stretch long and calm. Story 39. The Buddha and the Monk Who Felt Unworthy. A young monk doubted himself, thinking he was less capable than others. He compared himself constantly, fearing exposure or failure. The Buddha simply sat with him, allowing the silence to speak. He pointed out that each person's value isn't measured by comparison but by steady presence and effort. The monk exhaled, feeling a small weight lift. He realized his own path mattered, even quietly. Maybe you felt unseen or inadequate, believing others are more skilled, more deserving, more complete. Comparison clouds the joy of your own journey. The lesson is gentle. Value grows in small, consistent acts, not in measuring yourself against others. Rest your hands in your lap. Let your spine soften, and allow one's self-judgment to release. Story 40. The Buddha and the Monk Struggling with Fear of Change. A monk felt anxious at every transition: new seasons, new assignments, new responsibilities. Change seemed overwhelming, like a river breaking its banks. The Buddha reminded him that impermanence is natural, and flow cannot be stopped. Fear arises when we resist, not when we move gently with life. The monk's shoulders dropped. His chest loosened. He realized he could approach each shift with awareness, not panic. Maybe you felt fear as life shifts unexpectedly: job changes, relationships, health, or routines. It's normal, but it need not control you. The lesson is soft: move with change, not against it. Gentle adaptation brings ease. Take one long inhale, let it fall freely, and feel your body ready to move with the next day. Story 41. The Buddha and the Greedy Merchant. A merchant came to the Buddha, his eyes restless with desire for more wealth. He worried that he would never have enough to feel secure or respected. The Buddha spoke softly, pointing to a simple bowl of rice. He said, satisfaction grows when we notice what we already have, not only what is missing. The merchant felt a quiet shift inside him. The tightness in his chest softened, like snow melting in sunlight. Maybe you've felt the pull of wanting more money, more recognition, more comfort. It can distract from the calm already present. The lesson is gentle: notice what is enough. Gratitude opens space in the heart. Place a hand on your chest. Feel it rise and fall, and let one wish for more rest for a moment. Story 42. The Buddha and the Worried Widow. A widow came to the Buddha, her life heavy with loss and responsibility. She had to care for children, manage the household, and face every day with fatigue. The Buddha welcomed her presence and reminded her that even small moments of care for herself are gifts. She need not carry everything at once. She exhaled, feeling the tension in her shoulders drop. For a brief moment, she could sit quietly, letting the weight ease. Perhaps you felt pulled in every direction, wondering if there's any space for you. There is. The lesson is simple: rest is part of life, not a luxury. Even small pauses restore strength. Let your hands rest softly in your lap. Feel your body supported. Notice the breath that has been quietly carrying you. Story 43. The Buddha and the monk, afraid to speak. A monk hesitated to share his questions, worried about being judged. His mind raced with imagined criticism. His tongue felt heavy. The Buddha encouraged him gently, reminding him that truth spoken with care is like a lantern in a dark room. Fear dims only when faced with quiet courage. The monk's jaw unclenched, and his breath grew steady. He found the words flowing more easily than he expected. Maybe you felt the same, hesitant to voice an opinion, an idea, or a feeling. The fear often exists only in anticipation. The lesson is kind: speak your truth gently. When ready, silence is safe, but presence is braver. Place your hand on your throat if you like. Feel your breath. Allow one small word or thought to settle softly. Story 44. The Buddha and the monk who feared poverty. A monk worried constantly about having enough for the future. His mind churned with what-ifs, like waves crashing endlessly. The Buddha reminded him that life often provides what is needed, though not always in the way imagined. Attachment to certainty breeds stress. The monk exhaled, feeling his tight grip on possessions loosen. A gentle calm entered, like quiet sunlight spilling into a dark room. Perhaps you've worried about money or resources, imagining disasters before they arrive. The mind can invent storms far bigger than reality. The lesson is gentle: trust the present and prepare without panic. Ease is a choice as much as effort. Rest your hands on your knees. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Allow one imagined worry to drift away. Story 45. The Buddha and the impatient student. A student grew frustrated that progress in meditation seemed slow. He compared himself to others and felt discouraged. The Buddha invited him to watch a pond at dawn, noticing the stillness beneath the ripples. Change happens quietly, like roots growing under the soil. The student's shoulders softened, and his mind felt less rushed. He saw that progress is steady, often invisible, but real. Maybe you've wanted faster results at work, health, or life. Rushing rarely produces calm. The lesson is soft growth unfolds in its own time. Patience is part of practice. Sit quietly, feel your spine supported, and imagine gentle growth happening beneath the surface. Story 46. The Buddha and the monk with a heavy heart. A monk carried sadness that felt too big to speak aloud. Every task seemed more difficult, every smile forced. The Buddha sat nearby, letting the monk feel heard without interruption. Sometimes, presence alone is medicine. The monk's breath softened, and he felt a flicker of relief. Even a small easing of weight can restore strength. Perhaps you felt this burdened by daily life, obligations, or memories that linger. Being seen without judgment is a balm. The lesson is gentle. Presence alone can lighten the heaviest heart. You do not need to carry it alone. Place your hands gently in your lap. Feel your weight supported. Let one small burden rest. Just for now. Story 47. The Buddha and the monk who could not let go. A monk clung to his personal belongings and past achievements. He feared losing them more than anything. The Buddha reminded him that attachment is like carrying water in a sieve. Nothing stays if held too tightly. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means freeing space for what matters. The monk breathed easier, feeling relief in his chest. A small sense of freedom emerged, like a bird leaving its cage. Maybe you've held tightly to possessions, roles, or memories. Clinging can weigh more than loss itself. The lesson is soft. Release what is not necessary to carry. Peace lives in light hands. Rest your hands on your knees. Allow one thing you're holding tightly to drift away. Story 48. The Buddha and the monk who feared loneliness. A monk feared being alone, thinking isolation meant emptiness. He avoided quiet, filling every moment with activity or conversation. The Buddha reminded him that solitude can be a friend, a space for the heart to breathe. Loneliness is a fear, not always reality. The monk exhaled, noticing his tight chest loosen. He began to see quiet moments as gentle, not threatening. Maybe you felt the same, restless in silence, afraid to face your own thoughts. Stillness can teach more than distraction ever will. The lesson is kind solitude is a chance to meet yourself with patience. Comfort grows in quiet presence. Sit with your back supported. Feel your breath. Let the quiet be gentle, like a soft lamp in the evening. Story 49. The Buddha and the jealous layman. A man compared himself constantly to a neighbor, feeling envy. Every achievement of the other made his chest tighten. The Buddha invited him to observe the clouds passing overhead. Each cloud moves in its own time and place. No two are alike, yet all are part of the same sky. The man's breath slowed. He realized his neighbor's life did not diminish his own. Maybe you've felt jealousy creep in quietly, at work or home. It clouds your mind and tightens your chest. The lesson is soft comparison steals peace. Focus on your own sky. Place a hand on your heart. Feel the rise and fall of breath. Notice one thought of envy soften and float away. Story 50. The Buddha and the monk who worries about the future. A monk fretted over what would come, imagining countless possible troubles. He felt unable to act clearly, as if the future weighed him down. The Buddha suggested noticing the present, the simple sensations of body, the sounds of the world around him. Life only unfolds one moment at a time. The monk felt a weight lift, the mind quieting for the first time in days. He realized that clarity is found in this moment, not in endless speculation. Maybe you've felt that too, your mind racing ahead of reality. Stress multiplies when we forget the present. The lesson is gentle, anchor yourself in the moment. The present is enough. Place your hands softly in your lap. Notice your breath. Let one imagined worry rest. Just for now. Story 51. The Buddha and the monk who felt alone in practice. A monk sat alone in the monastery, feeling that his efforts in meditation were unnoticed. He thought others were farther along, wiser, more capable. The Buddha joined him quietly, reminding him that inner growth is not a race. Each person's path unfolds at its own pace. The monk felt his chest loosen, as if a weight he had carried for years had lifted slightly. He realized that presence and consistent effort mattered more than comparison. Maybe you've felt isolated in your own journey at work, in health, or life goals. It can be discouraging to think you're behind. The lesson is soft, your path is yours, and steady steps are enough. Presence counts more than speed. Place your hands gently on your lap. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Let one sense of comparison drift away. Story 52. The Buddha and the Frustrated Student. A student came to the Buddha, exasperated that he could not master the chants as quickly as others. He felt he was failing and feared disappointment. The Buddha reminded him that practice is like planting seeds. Growth cannot be rushed. Even the smallest progress is meaningful. The student's shoulders dropped, tension softening as he breathed. He understood that patience, not speed, shapes learning. Maybe you felt frustrated with slow progress at work, in projects, or personal growth. Rushing only tightens the mind. The lesson is gentle, steady effort matters more than instant results. Trust the rhythm of your own pace. Place your hand on your heart. Notice one small achievement, and let it settle warmly. Story 53. The Buddha and the Merchant who feared loss. A merchant approached the Buddha, anxious that his goods and wealth might be stolen or spoiled. He felt tension coil tightly in his stomach, restless and sleepless. The Buddha encouraged him to notice what he could control and to release worry over the rest. Fretting does not secure anything. It only robs the heart of ease. The merchant exhaled. Feeling a little lighter, he realized he could focus on careful action rather than endless fear. Perhaps you felt that fear about money, work, or your family's future. It can feel unending. The lesson is soft, act wisely. Release what cannot be controlled. Peace is found in letting go. Unclench your hands. Rest your shoulders. Let one imagined loss drift away like a leaf on water. Story 54. The Buddha and the monk who resented criticism. A monk felt bitter after being corrected by a senior. He carried resentment quietly, replaying the moment over and over. The Buddha reminded him that correction, when met with humility, is like rain nourishing a seed. Resistance only creates tension. The monk felt his chest soften and his mind lighten. He realized the lesson was not in the words, but in his own response. Maybe you felt wounded by feedback or criticism. It is easy to tighten, but release brings relief. The lesson is gentle, receive what is offered without holding on to resentment. Openness softens the heart. Place a hand on your chest. Notice your breath. Let one small sting of resentment dissolve. Story 55. The Buddha and the monk who feared failure. A monk came worried he would fail his duties and disappoint others. His mind spun with possibilities of mistakes, embarrassment, and blame. The Buddha reminded him that perfection is not required. Effort with attention is enough. Mistakes teach, not punish. The monk's shoulders relaxed, and a warm exhale left his chest. He understood that courage is moving forward despite uncertainty. Maybe you felt paralyzed by fear of failure at work, home, or in life choices. It clouds focus and joy. The lesson is soft. Doing your best matters more than flawless outcomes. Courage grows in effort, not certainty. Sit with your hands resting gently. Feel your breath. Imagine one fear of failure softening like clay. Story 56. The Buddha and the Anxious Father. A father worried constantly about his children's safety, health, and future. His mind never rested. His nights were restless. The Buddha reminded him that love does not come from control, but from calm presence. Worry often magnifies what is already uncertain. The father felt his body loosen, shoulders dropping as the message settled in. He realized care is more effective when the heart is steady. Perhaps you've carried similar concern for those you love. It can feel endless. The lesson is gentle presence matters more than worry. Steady attention nurtures more than fear. Place a hand on your chest. Notice the heartbeat. Let one small concern rest. Story 57. The Buddha and the Monk Who Could Not Focus. A monk struggled to maintain concentration during meditation. His thoughts jumped like sparks in the dark. The Buddha invited him to watch a stream, noticing how each drop followed the flow. Attention grows quietly when we meet the moment, not force it. The monk's breath became calmer, and a small steadiness returned. He realized patience is essential in all growth. Maybe you felt distracted and restless. Even when you want calm, the mind needs gentleness, not force. The lesson is soft focus grows slowly. With gentle presence, patience is as important as effort. Sit quietly. Rest your hands on your knees, and let your attention settle on one gentle sensation. Story 58. The Buddha and the Jealous Monk. A monk envied another who received praise from the community. His mind tightened, comparing himself constantly. The Buddha reminded him that each life unfolds differently. Like trees in a forest, comparison steals peace and joy. The monk's chest softened, his jaw unclenched. He realized that appreciation for his own path brought freedom. Perhaps you felt envy, small or large, at work, family, or among friends. It quietly steals energy. The lesson is gentle. Your journey is yours, and it has its own rhythm. Peace grows in acceptance. Place a hand on your heart. Feel your own steady beat, and let one comparison drift away. Story 59. The Buddha and the Monk Who Feared Judgment. A monk hesitated to speak, worried others would judge him harshly. He felt trapped by imagined opinions. Stiff in posture, tight in chest, the Buddha reassured him that honesty and presence matter more than approval. Courage is speaking softly, even when afraid. The monk exhaled slowly, feeling a small weight lift. He realized that fear often exists more in imagination than in reality. Maybe you've feared judgment at work, home, or socially. It can prevent action and peace. The lesson is soft, speak with care, not fear. Your voice matters, even quietly. Sit with hands in lap. Notice your breath. Imagine one imagined opinion softening. Story 60. The Buddha and the Monk Who Felt Useless. A monk worried he contributed nothing meaningful to the monastery. His mind replayed failures and perceived inadequacies. The Buddha reminded him that value is in presence, attention, and steady effort. Even small acts ripple outward in ways unseen. The monk's heart eased, a gentle warmth filling his chest. He realized that worth is not measured by grand outcomes. Maybe you felt insignificant or invisible in life. It is a common human ache. The lesson is gentle. Steady presence matters more than grand achievements. Your efforts count, even quietly. Place your hands over your heart. Feel the rise and fall of breath. Let one thought of unworthiness rest for now. Story 61. The Buddha and the Impatient Monk. A monk grew restless, wishing enlightenment would come faster. Every day of waiting felt like a burden pressing on his chest. The Buddha invited him to watch a flower bloom. He reminded the monk that growth is quiet. gradual, and often unseen. The monk's shoulders softened, and his mind unclenched. He felt a gentle understanding. Progress cannot be rushed. Maybe you felt impatient at work, in relationships, or personal goals. Rushing only tightens the heart. The lesson is gentle growth unfolds naturally. Trust the rhythm of your own path. Place a hand on your lap. Feel your spine supported. Let one wish for speed settle quietly. Story 62. The Buddha and the Overwhelmed Householder. A householder came, exhausted from family duties and daily work. Every task felt heavy, as though he carried the weight of the world. The Buddha suggested pausing, noticing the breath and the body's sensations. Even small pauses bring relief and clarity. The householder exhaled, feeling his chest expand. The tension of constant doing began to melt. Perhaps you felt overwhelmed by responsibilities and obligations. A brief pause can restore a sense of ease. The lesson is soft. Small moments of awareness lighten heavy days. Presence matters more than speed. Rest your hands on your knees. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Allow one burden to rest for a moment. Story 63. The Buddha and the Monk Who Feared Change. A monk worried about leaving his familiar monastery routines. The unknown ahead made him anxious and tense. The Buddha reminded him that change is like the river, it moves, whether we resist or flow with it. Resistance amplifies worry. Acceptance allows calm. The monk exhaled, his shoulders dropping, a small sense of courage returning. He realized he could approach change gently, step by step. Maybe you've feared transitions in life, new jobs, homes, or relationships. Fear often arises from resistance rather than reality. The lesson is gentle flow with life's natural changes. Ease grows in acceptance. Place a hand on your heart. Feel the breath rise and fall. Imagine one fear of the unknown, softening. Story 64. The Buddha and the Monk Who Felt Weak. A monk felt small and incapable, overwhelmed by the monastery's demands. He thought he was inadequate compared to others. The Buddha reminded him that even small contributions matter. Strength grows gradually. Like sap rising in a tree, the monk's chest lifted, his jaw unclenched. A quiet warmth of self-acceptance entered. Perhaps you felt weak or inadequate, comparing yourself to others. Small efforts carry more value than imagined. The lesson is soft, each step matters. No matter how small, consistency outshines force. Rest your hands in your lap. Notice your breath. Let one thought of weakness drift away. Story 65. The Buddha and the Monk Who Could Not Forgive. A monk carried anger towards someone who had hurt him. His chest felt tight, and sleep did not come easily. The Buddha suggested imagining placing the hurt down, even for a single moment. Releasing does not mean forgetting, it frees the heart. The monk exhaled, feeling a surprising lightness. He realized his own peace mattered more than holding on to grievance. Maybe you've struggled to forgive, replaying pain repeatedly. Holding on only prolongs tension. The lesson is gentle letting go restores calm. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself. Place a hand on your heart. Feel your breath. Allow one small grievance to release. Story 66. The Buddha and the Monk Who Feared Judgment. A monk hesitated to speak, worried he would be judged harshly. His voice felt stuck in his throat, his chest tight with anxiety. The Buddha reminded him that honesty and presence matter more than approval. Courage is speaking quietly, even in fear. The monk exhaled slowly, feeling tension melt. He realized fear often exists in imagination more than reality. Maybe you've feared criticism at work, home, or socially. It can prevent calm and clarity. The lesson is soft, speak gently. Without fear of judgment, your voice matters, even quietly. Rest your hands on your lap. Notice the breath rising and falling. Imagine one imagined judgment softening. Story 67. The Buddha and the Distracted Monk. A monk found his mind drifting constantly during meditation. Every attempt to focus ended in frustration. The Buddha suggested noticing thoughts like clouds passing overhead. They do not need chasing or control, simply observe. The monk's shoulders dropped, and his mind settled a little. He understood that gentle attention fosters focus more than force. Maybe you felt distracted, restless, or impatient with yourself. Observation brings calm. The lesson is soft notice without grabbing. Presence is stronger than control. Rest your hands softly. Feel your breath. Let one distracting thought float past like a cloud. Story 68. The Buddha and the Monk who felt unworthy. A monk believed he was less capable than others, unworthy of respect or love. He carried shame quietly, stiff in posture and heart. The Buddha reminded him that every life has value, not measured by comparison. Effort and presence are the measure, not approval. The monk exhaled, feeling warmth fill his chest. He realized his own path mattered, even quietly. Perhaps you felt small or unseen. It is a common ache. The lesson is gentle. Your presence and effort have value. Worth is found in steady being. Place a hand on your chest. Feel your breath. Let one thought of unworthiness settle. Story 69. The Buddha and the Monk who feared the future. A monk worried constantly about what might come: illness, hunger, or mistakes. His mind spun, restless and fearful. The Buddha suggested noticing the present moment, the breath, the sounds, the sensations. The future unfolds one moment at a time. The monk felt tension release. Clarity returned as his mind rested in what was here, not in imagined problems. Perhaps you felt this fear, the endless what-ifs. It clouds presence and peace. The lesson is soft. Anchor yourself in the present. This moment is enough. Rest your hands in your lap. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Let one imagined worry rest. Story 70. The Buddha and the Monk who could not rest. A monk struggled to rest, thoughts looping endlessly. He feared stillness, as if inactivity were failure. The Buddha invited him to notice the simple sensations of sitting, feet on the ground, hands on knees, breath moving naturally. Even quiet presence is practice. The monk exhaled deeply, shoulders dropping. He discovered rest could be active in its own way. Perhaps you felt restless, even when you long for sleep. Rest is part of living, not a delay of action. The lesson is gentle. Allow stillness without judgment. Rest restores strength. Place your hands gently. Feel your breath. Let your body settle into soft support. Story 71. The Buddha and the Monk who feared mistakes. A monk fretted constantly over making mistakes, worrying he would disappoint others. His chest felt tight, shoulders tense, and sleep elusive. The Buddha reminded him that errors are part of learning, like drops of water nourishing soil. Mistakes are guides, not punishments. The monk exhaled slowly, feeling tension release. He realized he could move forward without fear, learning step by step. Perhaps you felt afraid of failing at work, relationships, or personal goals. It can make each day heavy. The lesson is soft. Mistakes are part of growth. Gentle effort matters more than perfection. Place your hands on your lap. Notice your breath. Imagine one small worry about mistakes dissolving. Story 72. The Buddha and the Restless Monk. A monk could not sit still, his mind bouncing from thought to thought. He tried hard to focus, only to grow frustrated with himself. The Buddha invited him to notice the flow of a river nearby, watching each ripple without interference. Stillness arrives when we stop forcing it. The monk felt his shoulders drop, his jaw loosen. A quiet calm settled, softening the restless energy within. Perhaps you felt restless, unable to pause even when needed. Restlessness is natural but need not control you. The lesson is gentle. Calm arrives when we allow, not force. Patience softens the mind. Place your hands on your knees. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Allow one restless thought to drift away. Story 73. The Buddha and the Overthinking Monk. A monk replayed conversations, decisions, and worries endlessly. His mind felt like a storm, and his heart heavy with indecision. The Buddha suggested focusing on the breath and noticing each passing thought without clinging. Clarity grows when we allow thoughts to pass. Like leaves on a stream, the monk's shoulders relaxed, and his chest eased. He realized overthinking only magnifies small concerns. Maybe you felt the same, trapped in looping thoughts about work, family, or finances. Your mind can rest if allowed. The lesson is soft thoughts are clouds, not anchors. Observe, then release. Rest your hands gently. Feel your breath moving. Let one repetitive thought float away. Story 74. The Buddha and the Anxious Laywoman. A woman fretted over household tasks, children, and debts. Her chest felt heavy, and nights offered little sleep. The Buddha reminded her that presence is more valuable than endless worry. Even a quiet, mindful pause can restore ease. Her shoulders dropped, and she exhaled deeply. A small relief settled in, like dust quietly settling in a jar. Perhaps you felt similar anxiety about family, work, or money. Even a short pause can lighten the load. The lesson is gentle. Being fully present matters more than controlling everything. Ease grows in attention, not tension. Place your hands softly on your lap. Notice your breath. Let one worry rest. Just for now. Story 75. The Buddha and the Jealous Monk. A monk watched others receive praise and recognition, feeling envy rise inside him. He clenched his jaw and tightened his chest with comparison. The Buddha pointed to the sky, noting that clouds pass and each has its place. No two clouds are the same, yet all belong to the same sky. The monk exhaled, realizing others' success did not diminish his own path. A gentle warmth of acceptance filled his chest. Perhaps you felt jealousy at work, in friendships, or family. Comparison steals calm. The lesson is soft. Honor your own journey. Peace grows in acceptance. Place a hand on your heart. Feel your breath. Let one comparison drift away like a cloud. Story 76. The Buddha and the Monk who feared criticism. A monk hesitated to speak, afraid of disapproval or ridicule. His chest tightened. Words caught in his throat. The Buddha reminded him that honesty and care are more valuable than approval. Speaking gently, even with fear, nurtures courage. The monk exhaled, feeling tension release. He realized fear is often imagined, not real. Maybe you've hesitated to voice opinions at work, home, or socially. Fear can prevent clarity and presence. The lesson is gentle. Speak with care, not fear. Your voice matters. Rest your hands in your lap. Notice the breath rising and falling. Let one imagined judgment dissolve. Story 77. The Buddha and the Tired Merchant. A merchant visited the Buddha, exhausted by endless business and family obligations. His shoulders were stiff, and his mind raced even in sleep. The Buddha suggested noticing the body, releasing tension gradually. Small pauses and gentle awareness restore energy. The merchant felt his chest expand as he exhaled. A wave of calm replaced the tightness he had carried for days. Perhaps you felt similar exhaustion. Work, family, responsibilities. Gentle presence restores energy more than forced action. The lesson is soft. Rest is part of practice. Small moments of awareness renew strength. Place your hands on your knees. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Allow one burden to settle. Story 78. The Buddha and the monk who could not let go. A monk clung tightly to his achievements, possessions, and memories. Every thought of losing them caused tension and fear. The Buddha reminded him that holding too tightly is like trying to carry water in a sieve. Freedom comes when we loosen our grip. The monk exhaled, feeling lightness in his chest. He realized letting go did not erase value. It created space for life to flow. Maybe you've held tightly to material things, habits, or past events. Clinging amplifies stress. The lesson is gentle release what does not serve you. Peace grows in light hands. Place your hands softly. Feel the breath. Let one attachment drift away. Story 79. The Buddha and the monk who feared loneliness. A monk dreaded quiet moments, believing solitude meant emptiness. He filled each hour with activity to avoid feeling alone. The Buddha reminded him that solitude can be a friend, a space to breathe and meet oneself. Even stillness is nourishing. The monk's shoulders softened, chest loosening. He began to see quiet as gentle, not threatening. Perhaps you feared being alone or facing your own thoughts. Stillness is a chance to restore the heart. The lesson is soft. Solitude is a companion. Comfort grows in quiet presence. Rest your hands in your lap. Feel the rise and fall of breath. Let the quiet wrap around you gently. Story 80. The Buddha and the monk who overthought. A monk replayed conversations, worries, and tasks endlessly. His mind spun like leaves in a storm. The Buddha suggested noticing each thought, letting it pass without grasping. Clarity emerges when we watch, not chase. The monk's chest softened, his jaw unclenched. A small calm settled like sunlight breaking through clouds. Maybe you felt trapped in loops of overthinking. Observation, not control, brings peace. The lesson is gentle thoughts are clouds, not anchors. Watch, then release. Place your hands gently on your lap. Notice your breath. Let one looping thought drift away. And now, as our journey together slowly comes to its gentle close, allow yourself to notice the quiet that has grown within you. Perhaps you feel a soft weight, like the earth holding you tenderly, or a lightness, as if your worries have drifted away, carried on a river that moves without effort. The moments we shared, the stories, the pauses, The gentle reflections have not been instructions or rules, only invitations to return to this calm, this stillness that has always been within reach. Imagine, once more, the moonlight spilling softly over a quiet pond. The water ripples gently in response to a breeze, and each ripple glimmers with the memory of everything you have carried today. Notice how the moon does not cling, how the water does not resist, yet the light touches each surface, quietly, without expectation. And as you lie here, perhaps in your bed, feel your body resting fully against the mattress, the familiar contours of your shoulders, your back, your legs. Let them soften, surrendering to the gentle support beneath you. Your hands may rest lightly at your sides or across your heart, allowing tension to uncoil slowly. Like mist lifting from a forest in the morning sun, your jaw can loosen, your tongue relax, your eyes heavy and soft. You might notice the river of your breath, flowing in and out like tides along a quiet shore. Each exhale can carry a little weight away. Each inhale brings a small, subtle peace, as if the air itself knows exactly where to go. Perhaps some of today's worries, work, pressures, family needs, unanswered questions, or that quiet buzzing of overthinking, have already begun to drift away. Imagine them settling like autumn leaves into a calm stream, floating until they disappear from view, without effort or force. The stories you've heard of monks, travelers, teachers, and seekers have been like lanterns along a path, not a map, not a solution, but points of light, guiding you gently toward the natural rhythm of rest, toward the ease that comes when the mind, for a moment, lets go. And in this letting go, feel the space that remains, the space between thoughts, between breaths, between moments. It is quiet, but full. It is still, but alive. It is yours, and it has always been here. Imagine, once again, the wind across a quiet meadow, softly bending the grass. Hear the gentle murmur of leaves in the trees, the low hum of life moving steadily, without hurry. There is no need to hold, to grasp, to fix anything. All that you are, all that you have, all that has been, flows into this moment naturally, completely, and safely. And perhaps the river of your breath can carry you now to a place beyond words, beyond effort, beyond thinking. Each exhale a letting go, each inhale a quiet replenishment. The candlelight of our evening stories fades, yet the warmth of presence remains. The universe, vast and quiet, mirrors this calm inside you. Every star, every shadow, every quiet corner of sky is aligned with the simple wonder of being here, right now. And as your body softens, as your mind slows, notice the gentle rhythm of life itself, like waves that rise and fall, like clouds that drift without worry, like the sun that sets, always returning tomorrow. Let this rhythm cradle you. Feel your heartbeat in your chest, steady and warm. Feel the gentle pulse of your body, the quiet currents beneath your skin, like the earth itself breathing beneath you. All that needs attention has been attended to. All that can wait may wait. And in this surrender, this soft trust, there is peace. Let your hands rest. Let your legs release. Let your shoulders melt. Let your jaw release. There is no need to carry more. There is nothing to fix. There is only this moment of quiet and your permission to rest. And so, drift. Let your mind float, like a leaf on a river, like a cloud across the moonlit sky. Let the gentle rhythm of breath guide you into deeper stillness, into the place where you are safe, complete, and at home. And now, let the silence enfold you, long and soft, like the final exhale of a day that has been lived fully, and the first embrace of a night that waits to hold you.